This sequence here, this opening sequence, took about a month to do, to get all the colors and the masking to work out right. But if you look at the way the colors are matched and the way it fades out, it goes from dark red to bright red and where it shines, the letters shine, it's just like it is in the Marvel Studios intro. This opening sequence was much longer. We had it where they were looking at Chitauri warriors. They're asking, what is this? And Cap ran out of the ship to look. We realized we didn't need these extra 2 minutes. In the beginning, we could just jump straight to the battle, so that got cut before we started doing the visual effects. And John here is wearing a Captain America shirt outfit. That's actually because the Captain America costume suit that he gets later in our recreations was unavailable at the time. And he did that role practically in front of the green screen, and that jump. So we had to go with that because that was the only costume available at the time. We'll be able to get the other one later. All the Chitauri warriors he's punching and smacking, those were added in later with visual effects. I filmed myself as the Chitauri warriors.
Well, we got his attention.
And then we added them in using keyframes animations. Except for the one that tackles Hawkeye. Actually, whenever Lachey is shooting, or Black Widow is shooting Chitauri warriors, he's actually looking at Greg, our Nick Fury actor. He's in the background, off camera, the way she had something to look at while she was shooting the aliens. We had another Hulk actor. He didn't show up for filming, so I performed Bruce Banner. That motorcycle effect was a test for later on for Age of Ultron scene creation, when we would do a more advanced motorcycle effect.
I've seen worse.
Sorry. And for a lot of this recreation, there are no feet because we weren't like that. We weren't quite sure how to do it at the time. It wasn't until later filming we realized that if you put the phone vertical, you could record all the people's feet and full body, and that's what we did for all the other recreations going forward. We grabbed a blue screen for all the Hulk sequences. We look at the sequence people are going in and behind people. We were shooting it fairly straight on, not three-dimensional, so we had to give them a 3D edge to them, and then keyframe animate them the way they're surrounding everybody else. Mike is wearing the Ant-Man costume underneath his Iron Man costume because the Iron Man costume didn't quite fit. He was actually too tall for the costume as well. Iron Man Cap shoot the laser onto the shield. That's the only shot that Mike and John filmed together. All the other shots, we filmed each character separate. So Mike would come in, he'd film all his shots as Iron Man. Blair would come in, he'd film all his shots. Black Widow and Nick Fury filmed their shots the same day, and etc. All he flies there, that's all animated with keyframes. Reese Max, he was just acting like he was falling somewhere, and I keyframed him where he's falling out of the sky. We used the Ant-Man costume for this soldier. We were gearing up for the rest of the recreations, so we had the Ant-Man costume ready to go. It wasn't really worth getting a military costume for this one sequence. And all the time, Iron Man's flying and he's looking side to side. I'm just giving him direction. Okay, look right, look left. Okay, look up. And he was just nailing it, because we filmed this very quickly. We had 17 minutes of recreation footage to film when we had Mike, John, and Blair there, Hawkeye, Captain America, and Iron Man. So we were doing shots in like one take. That shot right there, we filmed in one take. There was just no time to go back. Barely any shots did we do 2 or 3 takes in. There were no rehearsals. So the gloves he's wearing is actually just some black gloves from a appliance store, painted red, some material glued on to make it look like they're Iron Man gloves. The reason the Iron Man gets gloves later in recreations is because Mike made so much fun of me. And this took a lot of effects. It took about 16 days straight of editing to really put this thing together. And originally we had a different ending where they talked about shawarma than they ate shawarma, but you really just need the battle, so we just cut that stuff out. Nice color grading on my skin to make it look purple. And then he turns, and that moon looks just like the ending of the very first Avengers. I love that shot. And the Iron Man 3 scene recreation, yes, he's got the gloves there. In this sequence, I was not supposed to film Winter Soldier. Some actors left on the day, and they were looking at me like, what are we going to do? Grabbed the Winter Soldier costume and just started fighting him. And I designed the entire thing where I wouldn't be the Winter Soldier, wouldn't have to fight John. All the punches and kicks that were going to be in this recreation for somebody else, this other actor. So when I had to do it, yeah, you just had to go and face your fears and just battle John. This is the very first sequence we ever did. And John's filming Korath right there in a cardboard box. It's great to see how far these recreations are come, because John trusted me to do these recreations. And I had him wear a cardboard box, and I was wearing a cardboard helmet for Star-Lord. And then to see where the recreations went later was a big payoff to this little test here. All the Star-Lord IFX are keyframe animated, they're not tracked onto that helmet. There's John playing some more soldiers and playing Star-Lord. We picked this sequence because we start out with a talk, then you go to a shootout, pilot a spaceship, and then you fly away. And we had some people on the visual effects forums really help us nail the look of what this recreation should be, the way it looks more like Guardians in tone. It has a nice aesthetic to it. Originally we had more to this sequence where he ends, but this is a good place to end it. Age of Ultron is where Jake first comes in and takes over the role of Thor. Some of those soldiers he's kicking, I'm actually there and he's kicking me, and some of those soldiers he's not. Bathtub, we filmed in a real bathtub. Spider-Man, this John acting alongside himself there and doing a great job of it.
Brooklyn.
This recreation would just take up way too much of his time, what we had available from him, so I just played Iron Man Cap there. He had a bit of a budget cut, that's why he looks the way he does. So we just went for the cloak and the Eye of Agamotto. It was very fun jumping into the Star-Lord role again. Spider-Man's interesting because John's actually older than me, and then he's acting like he's 15 and I'm acting like I'm 40. There it goes Hulk, but we ended up doing a couple different tricks to get it done. Right there, we disintegrates, took about 42 exports. Every piece of his face was hand animated. This is where we start bringing in cosplayers. The issues with Sonny Butch's visual effects there, but we were able to make it work.
I'll take this now.
And then we had Brian, the #1 Phil Coulson cosplayer in the world. Originally this sequence was too dark, and we had to brighten it up a bit, because if you try to make it too much like the scene in the movie, you might not be able to see what's going on. In this assemble shot, we gave everybody the same color grade, the way they look like they all belong in this shot, when they were filming all their stuff from all over the world. The combination of Captain Cash's acting and Zach's visual effects really helps that shot stay in your mind. Dustin McLean, for the final role here, played Mysterio and gave a great performance alongside John, who's giving all he has acting-wise in this production. I teased him with the Spider-Man suit and Edith glasses a lot to get him excited for playing this role, and when he finally was able to, years later after promising it to him, he knocked it out of the park. To base the story, we gave a recreation a story. Each main character, we have 5 main characters, each character goes through a character arc. So you start with Iron Man, he's in the Battle of New York, then he escapes from Malibu, takes the suit away from Spider-Man, and then he assembles with the Avengers. Spider-Man, he gets introduced to Captain America, and then he gets his suit taken away, which is a huge loss, and then he dies, and then he comes back, assembles with the Avengers, and then he gets betrayed. To make it interesting for each character, their sequences mattered across these recreations, so he was telling one singular story. Thor, he's in the Battle of New York, and then he has to go off-planet, and then he assembles. We tried to give each of them a recreation journey and an arc, make each of their recreations different and interesting in tone to represent the films we were recreating. Star-Lord, he escapes the Power Stone, then fights his father, and then assembles with the Avengers. Captain America, he's in the Battle of New York, and then he meets Spider-Man, and then he fights Iron Man, and then he assembles with the Avengers at the end there. And then we ended it on Mysterio. Mysterio saying, because people didn't believe, now they believe anything, and that was the theme of this project, was that a lot of people didn't believe it was possible. Why did we make this project? Why did we make MRU? Because people didn't believe, and now they believe anything is possible. Originally we were going to have signatures from everybody there, but Jake and John were going to have signatures right here. John was going to have a signature right here. And it turned out really great. We tried to mirror it to the way it was done with the Avengers and Avengers Endgame. And that signature is just a masked keyframe to slowly reveal the signature there. This is a big thing me and John talked about all the time, was how we're going to get Deadpool in, how we're going to get Deadpool in. Thankfully with this post-credit scene we were able to get him in. I wrote it, the voice actor did an incredible job, the cosplayer did an incredible job, and it just turned out really, really great. And we added some lighting and effects
doing here? Look, Wade, the recreation is over.
Matched all the lines to the movements. That was it.
That's the last time I stopped at a taco truck before the film set.